Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Welcome to Brilliance Business TV, conversations with leading experts in business. I am your host, Mark Stephen Pooler. Today we have a wonderful guest, Dr. Carjamin Scott. Carjie is incredible at helping students in attending college, staying in school and graduating. So a great conversation today. I'm just going to make an official shout out to our show sponsors, Craig Shelley, Beverly Hills Luxury Watches and Fine Jewellery at craigshelley.com. We are streaming live on the E360 TV network under Fresh Takes on Apple TV, Fire TV, Android TV, Roku, and many more. We're also streaming on mspnewsglobal.com, and we're also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So let's bring in our incredible guest, Dr. Carjamin Scott. Carjie, welcome to Brilliance Business TV.
Thank you for having me, Mark. I appreciate this opportunity to share with you.
Now, I know how passionate you are about helping students getting into college, attending, and all sorts of things to do with graduation as well. Could you just take us back a little bit, Carjie, of your past and background that has led you to the work that you are doing today?
Yes. So back when I attended college, I began my career as a work study student at my alma mater, Christian Brothers University. And during that 4-year experience, I continued to progress in the admissions department, starting off as a work study student, and then later becoming a senior intern in the department. So I led tours and I hosted students in my dorm and everything that it took to recruit students. After serving at Christian Brothers, I landed opportunities at several trade schools like ITT Tech and DeVry Institute, schools that are considered for-profit institutions, but worthy schools because they help students with getting their trade. Then I worked at graduate schools and traditional schools like Vanderbilt University, and I currently work at Tennessee State University as the Director of Admissions and Recruitment. So I have worked over a decade and a half with every student imaginable, from young adults to working adults to HBCU students, and highly ranked students as well. And I decided to start Education Equalizers because I noticed the gaps that universities faced, issues whereas they were trying to recruit more minority, or what I like to call historically excluded students, particularly Black students, issues such as after they recruited them, those students feeling like they belong. And if you don't belong or feel like you belong, then you drop from school. So I noticed that there were issues with retention. And then I also noticed that the faculty and staff at some schools just didn't reflect the student body that they were serving. You know, times have changed, and now colleges are enrolling more students, no matter their socioeconomic background, their gender, or their skin tone. And so I noticed that the leadership at those schools didn't reflect the student body, and that was also hurting outcomes of students, which ultimately hurts the outcomes of the institution. So in a nutshell, that's my backdrop, my backstory on a professional level, and why I started the business.
And I agree with you totally, Dr. Carjie, that it's so important to feel like you belong at schools, universities, colleges. I myself was heavily bullied through my school years, so I know how hard it is when you don't feel like you belong at school. So it's really great work that you're doing. That must give you so much satisfaction.
It does, especially when I can make a difference. But I don't feel satisfied when I'm not able to make a difference, when I just can't crack the code as to why things aren't moving in the direction that I want them to move. So that's why I'm using this time to do research towards my Education Equalizers opportunity or business, so that I can really meet the needs of students who I can't meet in my current role. I started the business in between working at Vanderbilt University and now Tennessee State. I had a gap in employment for a few months, and I just wasn't sure, Mark, what I was going to do. I wasn't sure if I was going to return back to full-time working at a college or if I was going to go full-fledged with being a consultant. But I'm so glad that I answered the call to work at Tennessee State because I didn't have the HBCU experience yet. I thought, Mark, that when I got to an HBCU, that everybody felt like they belonged because it's a historically Black school and it's mainly Black students. And that is the case. However, HBCUs are also looking for diversity. I was speaking with a friend about this and she was just shocked. She's like, what do you mean? That is diversity. No, it's not. Diversity reflects what is not represented currently in your student body. So yes, HBCUs are looking for students who don't currently fit their mode as well. So they may be looking for international students. They may be looking for Hispanic students. They may be looking for students with a certain GPA or test score. And so when you get this new segment of students, how are you going to address their needs? How are you going to ensure that they belong as well? So every school, HBCU, predominantly white institution, trade school, they're all trying to create a familial atmosphere. They're all trying to not only attract great students, but retain them and help them become gainfully employed.
I just think it's so important, Carjie. We have seen a lot of media coverage over the last year and a half with racism problems and a lot of negativity. So diversity now, and especially for students and the younger generation, that can only be a good thing because the children are the future, and more diversity is surely going to create more open-mindedness and more togetherness. Would you agree with me?
Absolutely, Mark. We are so much more stronger together. And I shared my professional reasons why I started this, but let me dive into my personal reasons. So my mother is African-American with Mississippi roots. I was born and raised on the south side of Chicago. My father is from Manila, Philippines, but his mother was Chinese. So I am, I guess, Chinese, Filipino, and African-American. Right. And as a result of that, I grew up with every race imaginable at the dinner table, or especially I love to recall Christmas, because at Christmas we had greens, collard greens, we had Popeye's chicken, we had lumpia, Filipino egg rolls. I mean, it was just a great opportunity to explore culture and just value each other, no matter what gender we were. And what our skin color was. And so growing up, I thought that life was like that for everyone. I didn't realize that it is a part of your identity to disclose what your race is or what your gender is, or even who you love. And so I realized that it was important that I used my lived experience, my background, my upbringing to bring people together and to show them that we have so much more in common that we do differently. And that just because you see someone with a certain gender or skin color doing well doesn't hamper your opportunity to do well. Like, we are so much better when we lift each other up and help each other. And I feel that education is the great equalizer. My college education saved my life. My mom and dad, Mark, they met in a GED class. Here in the States, back in the 1980s, students got a GED in lieu of a high school diploma. So I'm the first in my family to get a college degree and a high school diploma. So I know, the positive outcome of obtaining a college degree firsthand. I'm a first-time homeowner. I'm married with 2 children. I mean, my college experience saved my life. And I want to give that to other students.
I just think it's so important, the work that you're doing, and also the words that you just said are so important, that we all have so much more in common than we do in differences. And that's just true togetherness. We're all one on one planet. And when you see differences, that's not the way to be. We are all the same. We have so many things in common, and at the root we are all the same. So I really admire the work you're doing, Dr. Carjie. Can you just share a little bit about your business, how you serve your students, clients, and tell us a little bit about Education Equalizers as well?
Yes. So at this time, at no cost to middle school students, I am assisting them with college tours, with admissions processes. I'm giving them insider tips with where to go to get scholarship opportunities and figuring out which college is best for them. Because again, I know about trade schools, community colleges, graduate schools, traditional PWI top ranked schools, HBCUs, you name it, I have done it. So I have a wealth of knowledge to give students. The way that I'm able to fund this is through my book and through presentations that I do in the community. So I recently was able to do, or will do, a presentation sponsored by Vanderbilt University here in Gainesville, Florida, on how racism is a health crisis and we need to stand together to combat it. I'm teaching, which is a part of my business, Education Equalizers, and I'm bringing the community together, a community of scholars and leaders and theologians. And that's how I fund the work that I do for students at no cost. I try my best when students have questions to meet them where they are. So I encourage students to follow me on social media and send me a DM and I'll help them. And then businesses have seen the work that I'm doing. So they contact me to host programming, curate programming of belongingness, so that we can figure out who are the people interested in continuing this work. I sort of create disciples across the country to help this work flourish in the boardroom, in schools, you name it. That's where I try to be, I aim to be.
It's so important, Dr. Carjie. I myself speak in schools around bullying, drug awareness, sexuality, mental health, body image issues. And it's just so rewarding when you know you can really be making a difference to a child or a younger person's life, so that they don't have to go through some of the troubles that I went through when I was younger. I just see great things for you, because I think it's such an important message and education that you're putting out there. It's really important, and diversity. You would think this day and age it shouldn't be a big issue, but there is still so much more we can do for inclusion, diversity. It's just so important. So I really admire you. We're just going to a commercial break, Dr. Carjie, so stay where you are. Thank you everyone for joining us for part 1 of Brilliance Business TV. We are joined with Dr. Carjamin Scott. Dr. Carjie helps students in attending college, staying in school and graduating. Stay with us for part 2. Welcome back to Brilliance Business TV Conversations with Leading Experts in Business. We're here with Dr. Carjamin Scott. What an amazing conversation so far. We have talked all about the importance of diversity, which is such a big issue. And I want to ask you, Dr. Carjie, what are some of the common problems that students have in attending college? I never wanted to go to school and I had the worst attendance in school, and that was no exaggeration. I did have the worst attendance, so I do know it can be a problem.
Yeah, so I would say the number one issue is access. There are students who want to attend college, but they don't feel that they have access to it, be it financial access, access to it for location, able to get to it, or just the mental capacity to succeed. There are some students who feel that college just isn't for them because they didn't do well the years prior. And so I specialize with helping Black students. I am a woman, that's the gender I was born in, and I was also born African American. And so I have seen African American students deal with the issues that are associated with attending college. I've seen them feel as though it's hard for them to get accepted. I've seen students who have gotten accepted later drop out due to a number of different reasons. And then I've seen some graduate and not actually get the return on their investment that they should have received due to just lack of education on what they should do after they get their degree. You know, in 2021, it was reported by the Bureau of Labor Statistics that 11.6% of Black or African Americans had the highest unemployment rate of any ethnicity here in the United States. And another fact is, and I have to mention this one because my husband is a soon-to-be periodontist. He's a dentist. But 80% of all Black doctors and dentists attended two schools, Meharry Medical College and Howard University. So there are so many issues that Black students face at a higher rate than any other ethnicity. And so that is another guiding light as to why I exist in this business. I created this business and why I particularly want to help what I like to call historically excluded students. In universities, they say the term of underrepresented minorities or URMs, but I specifically like to call them historically excluded because not only have they been excluded from the college process, but they've been excluded from quality healthcare, quality business, quality of life. The list goes on, and it's a fact, and it's something that people don't want to talk about, but it must be discussed and addressed so that we can resolve that. Because again, like we talked about in the first part of our segment, if one group of people is not able to have the same level of attainment, then we all suffer. We all suffer. So someone has to do something about it.
So we have discussed attending college, which that's just one part of it. The next part is getting students or children to, or young adults, we should say, getting them to stay there. So tell us how you help students in staying in schools.
Yes. So there's a lot of intersectionality that occurs. We had talked about how even HBCUs are looking for or looking to diversify their student population. So they may be looking for more international students, or maybe looking for more Hispanic students, or maybe looking for more students who have declared their orientation, LGBTQI students. So what I have done is created affinity groups at different universities, or served as an advisor for affinity groups. So there may be a partners association. You may have students who are parents and they have partners while they're in school, and they may need a group of people to depend on to help with babysitting or help with having friendships for their husband or wife while they are in school, or partner while they are in school. It's just important to create affinity groups and belongingness initiatives at the onset, not after your first semester and you have all Fs, but at the very beginning, letting students know what resources are available to them depending on their subgroup, and trying to find ways for these subgroups to intersect, because you could be Black and LGBT, you could be Hispanic and a partner. So these are, at the onset, you can create the groups, but then you want them to intersect so that you can create community. That's the short answer. How do you retain students? Is you create real communities, and you sponsor those communities, and you support those communities, and you listen to them and have critical conversations when they say, hey, we're all parents and you keep having classes at 8 a.m. I have to drop my kid off at 8 a.m. Can we please move this class to 8:30? Little things like that can retain your student body and increase your graduation rate, increase your placement rate, and help you as an institution and your school and your students.
And community, that's the key word there. Even as entrepreneurs, community, a sense of belonging is so important. So that is the key point there, community. You also help your students after they have graduated as well. So tell us a little bit about that, Dr. Carjie.
Yeah, so I have a vast network of entrepreneurs who have their own business. I am actually going to be at the Bub Billiken Parade in Chicago, Illinois. It's the largest African-American parade in the country, and I was sponsored by a number of businesses. One business is Innate Success Consulting Firm, and it's led by Dr. Shamika Gibson, and she helps people with starting their own business. I also had an organization called HBCU Hub to sponsor me. They gave me a questionnaire, and students can complete the questionnaire to determine which school is best for them. And depending on that school, their career services department would help them with finding employment after graduation. I have he is my family member. He owns All World Project Management. He hires students to become project managers and engineers at his company. So I have a vast network of places where students can thrive after college and during college. So I like to help students with getting internships while they're in school, because oftentimes if you can do well in your internship, you can sell yourself and land a full-time gig before you even graduate. And oftentimes our students just are not even aware of that. They're just trying to pass that class and graduate, but they're not thinking of long-term, which is why I like to offer my services at no cost to students starting in middle school, so that they know exactly what to expect from the college, and they pick the college instead of the college picking them.
So could you share a few tips around the college admissions process?
Yes. So I have several. One tip that is very relevant for today is we are navigating a pandemic. It's the entire world is navigating a pandemic. It's actually in the definition of a pandemic. It's a worldwide disease. So I would suggest that even if your college does not require your ACT or SAT, which students hate that I tell them this, I tell them to still take it. And the reason why is because there are a number of scholarships that existed before the pandemic happened. And in their paperwork, their agreement, it said that students had to have a certain ACT score. So this isn't just because you're doing class on Zoom and you're hanging up your computer and rolling over in your bed, doesn't mean that you shouldn't continue studying and getting ready for that ACT. So I would say take all of the entrance exams that are required. Same for students who are going to law school, taking the LSAT. Even if the college does not require the LSAT, take it. Same for MBA, take your GRE, GMAT. For all programs, take your entrance exams. I would also say apply for scholarships often and early, and don't just rely on the scholarships of the school. So you can use fastweb.com, Scholarship America. Sometimes if you're a legacy student, meaning your family member graduated from a school, there may be scholarships just because your you are the child of an graduate. I would also say to apply to multiple colleges using one resource. So HBCU Hub has that resource where you can apply to multiple colleges at one time. The Common Black College app also has that. The Common app has that as well. Why pay $50 per college when you can pay $50 and apply to 100 colleges at one time? So those are my top 3 tips. Take all of your entrance exams, even if they aren't a part of the admissions process. Apply to scholarships early and often. All scholarships, don't just rely on the school to give you scholarships. And apply to colleges using a shared college service. If you can spare it, don't apply one-off to each school. Try to apply to multiple colleges with one service and save yourself that money.
Lots of words of wisdom there, Dr. Carjie. Now, you mentioned your book. I know you're a best-selling author. The book is You Are Accepted. Tell us a few details about that, Dr. Carjie.
I was terrified to write it, Mark. I was terrified to write the book. It's not what people expect. It is called You Are Accepted because it's my personal journey towards acceptance in life and working and navigating this space that doesn't necessarily have many African-American, biracial women in leadership. And I have served in a director level for the majority of my time. I have been at least at an executive level for over 10 years. So, and starting at the age of 26. So I talk about just ageism and sexism and racism and all of the isms that you can imagine and how I stood up for myself. And I felt that I had to write this story because I've learned just from being in the boardroom that if you don't share your story, someone else will share it for you. And I just had to get it out for that reason. And then I also wanted to get it out because there are more people like me entering into corporate America or entering to work in colleges or entering to work in law enforcement or whatever, what have you, who are battling what I'm battling or battled. And I survived it. And I created a business to help more kids because of it. And I'm thriving because I owned what happened and I failed forward many times. So that's what the book is about. And it also does give tips on college admissions, but it's more or less my journey towards self-acceptance in life and throughout working at colleges. I was terrified to write it. There's some times where you might cry, some times where you might get upset with me. You might get upset with the companies I worked at. But I think that's why it has become a best-selling book in just a few months. So,
where is the best place for our audience to get a copy of that?
Yeah, so Amazon has a sale on it right now. So you can get it off of Amazon. But if you would like an autographed copy from me, then you would visit my website, carjiescott.com, and I can send you a signed copy. And of course, I give like stickers and business cards and fun stuff when you buy it directly from my site. But it's available everywhere books are sold. So Barnes & Noble, Target, wherever your favorite bookseller is.
I would say get the signed copy at carjiescott.com. Everyone, I have really enjoyed a conversation with Dr. Carjie Scott. Please like and follow her on Instagram at Carjie Scott, and subscribe at www.carjiescott.com. That's www.carjiescott.com. carjiescott.com. Carjie, thank you so much for coming on to the Brilliance Business TV show. I have thoroughly enjoyed having a conversation with you.
Thank you. I hope we can talk again, Mark. And thank you for all of the work that you're doing, highlighting business owners. It is so important. So thank you so much.
The pleasure is all mine, Dr. Carjie. We have been joined today with Dr. Carjie Scott, helping students attending college, staying in school, and with graduating. Until next time, bye now. Carjie. Bye, everyone. Thank you for watching and see you all soon. Take care.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.